enter the room, we will just make sure they're welcome and give them an opportunity to read. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 2021 African American Read-In. I'm Janet Lovelace, the Assistant Director of the Nassau County Public Library System. Joining me as technical support are Julie Nanavino. Julie Nanavino, did I say that right, Julie? Correct me.
You were fairly close. Just get the Canavino. You got to get the Italian.
Canavino, Julie Canavino, our Yulee branch librarian, and David Zambrino, County IT. So we have two IT people assisting us. Anyone from Yulee will want to get to know Julie as the branch librarian there at your Yulee branch. For those of you who sent in pre-recorded videos, the recordings are now posted on the website. Tonight's readings will also be recorded and posted on the website. Please stay tuned. We hope to have them up by Tuesday, February the 16th. By volunteering to read, you agree to be recorded. Before reading, please state your first name. I only ask for your first name. Some people do not want to say their last name, but if you feel comfortable in saying your first and last name and your title, you may do so. Then say the name of your selection and why you selected it. You may choose to read without having your camera option on. Unless you are the reader, please keep your microphone on mute. The Read-In. The Read-In is the nation's first and oldest event dedicated to diversity in literature. It was established 31 years ago by the Black Caucus of the National Council of Teachers of English. It was established to ensure that literacy was a significant part of Black History Month. The Fernandina Beach branch has participated in the Read-In for the last 20 years. During those 20 years, I've had the pleasure of working with Mr. Neil Frink in developing Black History Month programs. And you know, behind every good man is a wonderful woman, and I want to praise Joyce Frink as well as participating for the last 20 years and assisting with the programs with Neil. Mr. Frink is a well-known community leader and president of the Historical Society. The programs are sponsored by the Fernandina Beach Friends of the Library in partnership with the Nassau County Public Library System and the Association for the Study and Preservation of African American History in Nassau County. I now turn the program over to our host, Mr. Neil Frink.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. It is a pleasure to be serving you for the last 20 years, along with Janet and Dawn from the library. They have been really a blessing for us in order to get this done. We've had so many participants, and I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I've had a lot of people that made me stick to it, including the Beach Lady. The Beach Lady was very instrumental in me being a member of the historical group, and she sat me down and told me on those circumstances I had to be there. And so I've been doing it now for 20 years with the library. My family, I'm part of the Troy family, grew up in Old Town. And my family is one of the oldest families going back to the early 1700s in Fernandina Beach, Nassau County, the Troy family. We been there, and we've had city officials back in the 1840s. One of my cousins, Denegall, I think he was the city mayor, and so I've taken part because I've fallen in love with the history, and so much of the history when I was going to school here at Peck, I did not know. They didn't teach it. I didn't know. Played in Fort Clinch, didn't know anything about it. Did not know about Kingsley Plantation. Did not know about the history of Peck High School and Julius Rosenwald. I've learned more of that since I moved back in '96 than I knew. In another week or so, I'll be 80 years old, and I've learned more since I've been back the last 20 years. So again, I'd like to thank each and every one of you. And we lost a very good member, Charles Albert. Charles Albert was the mayor, city councilman for what, 16 years, I think it was. He was the mayor for like 14 years. There he is. We have a picture of him. I guess you can see that. A great man from a great family. They came from down in Nassauville. His family owned a lot of property down there, and some of them still do. And he was funeralized 2 weeks ago, and he had great turnout from all of the city officials and other politicians. It was just a wonderful send-off, and Miss Albert certainly appreciated it. So we have to take our hats off to Mr. Albert and thank him for his services. So I'm not going to hold you up because I know some of us have things to do. But on my behalf, growing up, my first hero was 42, Jackie Robinson. And he will always be #1 with me among so many other Blacks that contributed to what we are today. Peck High School played a big role. Professor Peck, so many other teachers, Miss Thurston, Miss Pearson, I can name many of them. But I will always, loving of baseball and football, Jackie Robinson was my first hero, so I always wear his cap. And the beach lady told me years ago, she said, Neil, whatever you do, if you believe in your history, when you go out, you make a statement, you show people. So I have 42. Sometimes I have American Beach, the American Beach Museum, and I do that too, and other historical things that I have, caps of the Jacksonville Red Caps. But anyway, I'm not going to hold you. I'm going to get right to it. We have a lady who I'm so glad she moved back home, I should say. She is a jewel. She is the great granddaughter of A.L. Lewis, Abraham Lincoln Lewis, the founder of American Beach. She has traveled all over the world, and everybody that she meets and people talk about it, we're so proud of her. And no one can be more proud than we are to have her back here in Fernandina Beach. And I want to present to you Dr. Janetta Cole. Thank you so much, Dr. Cole, for coming back home. You can speak. She's not on.
Oops. She needs to be unmuted. There we go.
Unmute. Thank you so much, my brother Neil, my sister Joyce, for all that you continue to do to contribute to our community. And Janet, I must say to you that even though we've just met, I sense so strongly the very important role you have played in the life of Nassau County. As I thought about this event, of course, I couldn't help but think about the month that we're in and the fact that this is the month of February, Black History Month. And I like to say Black history and her story. It was, of course, Carter G. Woodson, the good Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who in 1926 launched Black History Week. In 1970, on the campus of Kent University, African-American students and faculty decided a week was not enough. And they were the first to celebrate Black History Month. Now it is acknowledged all over our country. Because I feel so deeply the importance of Black history and her story, I chose to read tonight a poem by the incomparable Dr. Maya Angelou. Phenomenal writing and life should always be remembered. But certainly as we think about Black history and Black her story, we are reminded of our heroes and our sheroes. Brother Neil has just lifted up Jackie Robinson, one of his heroes. Well, Maya Angelou was one of my sheroes. A prolific writer, and so it wasn't easy to choose what I would read. But I made the decision to read her poem, When Great Trees Fall. First, because so much of Black history and her story is really about the great trees of African-American culture that have fallen. And yet, each of us can certainly lift up some individual who has been important in our life. And this is a way, I think, to pay tribute to whoever that tree was in your life. When great trees fall, when great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder. Lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants lumber after safety. When great trees fall in forests, small things recoil into silence, their senses eroded beyond fear. When great sounds die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly. Our eyes briefly see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory, suddenly sharpened, examines, gnaws on kind words unsaid, promised walks never taken. Great souls die, and our reality bound to them takes leave of us. Our souls, dependent upon their nurture, now shrink, wizened. Our minds, formed and informed by their radiance, fall away. We're not so much maddened as reduced to the unutterable ignorance of dark, cold caves. And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms, slowly and always irregularly. Space is filled with a kind of soothing electric vibration. Our senses restored, never to be the same, whisper to us. They existed. They existed. We can be and be better, for they existed.
Dr. Cole, we certainly appreciate that. We thank you so very much for joining us at this hour. And I don't know if Tammy Bach, the city attorney, is she on yet? No, she's not on. So I will, Ms. Dinkins, would you like to be next?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, that'll be fine. Hello, everyone. My name is Denise Dinkins, and I am a former employee from Fernandina Beach Library. And because of COVID, here I am. I'm at home and working from home and loving it. But I do miss all the people that I met at the library. They were wonderful, and I had a great experience working at the library. Now, I did an original poem, and this is my third year doing this reading, and I am very honored to be doing it. So in lieu of everything that's been happening in the world with the violence and with the insurrection and everything that's going on, I thought to myself, what now? So I called this poem, What Now? And it goes something like this. When I think about March 2020 through January 6th, two things that will live in infamy, I think, what now? How could we? What is happening? What have we done? What are we doing? I think about the world we live in and what can we do to make it better? What can I do to leave it better for those after me? People dying by the thousands, people being dismissed as though they never existed. Racial injustices as prevalent as they ever were. police brutality at an all-time high, and every inequity known to man that still exists. How long will we stay in denial, believing that our history does not affect our future? Will we become a nation of ostriches, burying our head in the sand at every truth and turn? Being silent does not help our cause. We must speak up and out. The late John Lewis said, when you see something, say something. The cries of old echoing out to us, we shall overcome, free at last. Things are better than they used to be, and the chickens have come home to roost. Well-meaning cries they may be, but there's a lot more freeing and roosting to do before true equality is had for all. While there is still a lot of work to be done, will you continue to talk the talk or try walking your talk? It's time to get woke. What now?
Thank you so very much, Denise, and you're sharp as ever. You always have an original poem for us, and we certainly appreciate it. You're a great, great writer. Okay, Vice Mayor Krieger. Can you hear me? Vice Mayor Krieger? He's muted.
Unmute.
All right, I'm on now.
Okay, it's your turn.
Okay, I put my glasses on here. This is either the fourth or the fifth year, I can't remember which, that I
Okay,
read.
yeah, we're glad to have you.
Okay. And I'm going to read, as I always do, a poem which I've selected by a Black author, Michael S. Harper. And I've selected this poem because I think it's appropriate to the times. There are 4 Black girls blown up in that Alabama church remind me of the 500 Middle Passage Blacks in a net underwater in Charleston Harbor, so redcoats wouldn't find them. Can't find what you can't see, can you? And as always, my poems that I read are short.
Okay. Thank you so very much, Vice Mayor.
Always a pleasure to.
Yeah, we'll be getting together soon within the next week, I think. We have some things to talk about at the Peck Center.
All right.
Okay, let's see. Do we, is Mr. Kurtz on yet? Ron Kurtz, is he here?
No.
Okay, well, let's see, and Commissioner Bean. Commissioner.
Hey, everybody. Good evening. And, thank you for having me. It is my first time participating, and it's an honor to be here. So I really do appreciate it.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you. I've known your family for a long time, long before you were born.
Sure. And speaking of which, hey, happy 80th birthday next week. That's coming up. I heard that. And
Thank you.
yes, sir. I want to say congrats. Thank you, Janet, for your service to our community over 25 years. That's great. And you know what? There is someone we need to recognize elsewhere in this call, and that's Dirsha is here. She is the Customer Service Professional of the Year. And oh my God, from the Chamber of Commerce. So thank you, Dirsha, for being with us tonight. So I want to make sure that we all know that she won that competition.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah.
So I selected tonight one of my favorite authors of all time, Malcolm Gladwell, and I've been listening to all his books on tape, and he reads his own audiobooks. So I'm not going to do justice to what I've been listening to because Malcolm's got a very powerful voice, and but I'm going to do my best. So I've got a paragraph here from Blink, which is one of my favorite books that I like. So. Our world requires that decisions be sourced and footnoted. And if we say how we feel, we must also be prepared to elaborate on why we feel that way. We need to respect the fact that sometimes it's possible to know without knowing why we know, and accept that sometimes we're better off that way. So if you haven't read Blink yet, it's a great book, and as well as all his other books that Malcolm Gladwell has written. So thank you again for having me, and I appreciate the reading.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I guess Chip Ross is not here, is he? Okay, I think we should go probably Marsha Phelps. Can you hear me? Marsha Phelps.
She's He's muted.
He's
I think
muted.
Marcia's muted.
Marcia's here. She comes. Marcia? If not, Marcia, I don't know if she hears
Okay,
us
well,
or not.
Well, if not, we'll go.
Commissioner Gray is here. Commissioner
Okay.
Gray, I see is here as well.
Okay, well, we go to Commissioner Gray then.
Hello, hello.
Hello,
This is Commissioner Gray. What an
glad to
honor-
have you. Welcome aboard.
What an honor to be with y'all tonight. This is my first African-American reading event, and thank you so much for the invitation to participate. I apologize for running a few minutes late. I was at a county special meeting, and it was regarding the budget. So I'm sorry I'm here, but I just want to thank you for this opportunity, like I said, and it's my first event, and I think this is a wonderful event that y'all are hosting, and it's an honor to participate.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. And my selection for reading tonight is from a man I truly admire. He's a man of faith. He's a pastor. He's an author and a pastor, and his name is Mr. T.D. Jakes. And I love the Lord. I'm a Christian. And anytime I get a chance to share that, I love to share that. And I'm just thrilled to be able to read from one of his books, and the title is Destiny. So I will go ahead with my reading selection. Destiny, popular or unpopular, appreciated or not, encouraged or not, understood or not, hold on to destiny and don't let go. Take a while and declare your commitment to destiny's unfolding in your life. Now, I apologize if I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty. I'm seeing my screen flash, so y'all just have to bear with me, please. My internet. You play the lead role in your own destiny. Value yourself. Imagine the world without you. Realize just how priceless you are. Think about the people whose lives that you've touched, the things that would be different had you never lived. Your children would never have been born. The sibling you helped might never have gotten through college. Value the contribution of your life and the role that you can still play, a lead role. The mission that no one else can accomplish, but only you. The task that no one else can complete except you. The steps that no one else can navigate are yours to ascend. No one can take your place. He says, when I was just a boy, when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in 1968, but I recall that many were speculating about who would take his place. Names were circulated, and some tried to position themselves for the role, but he was irreplaceable. Dr. King had a destiny, and that destiny he fulfilled. No one could step into his shoes as the voice of the civil rights movement. Like Dr. King or any other person that we deem is great, you are irreplaceable. No one can take your place to fulfill your destiny. This is your life. No rehearsals, no retakes, no delete button. Understand that you have been chosen to play the lead role in your life is a critical destiny step. I love T.D. Jakes. He's a great pastor. He's an inspiration to me. He's a man of faith. And it just thrilled me to get this invitation. And I rushed home quick as I could so I could get on this call. So thank you so much, everyone, for the invitation and to participate tonight. Commissioner Gray.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your contribution. So next, my wife, Joyce Frank, she would like to read.
Okay, I'm going to read from Cast. It's a Oprah Book Club selection. And so Isabel Wilkerson won a Pulitzer Prize for her Warmth of Other Suns. The book is called Cast. Isabel Wilkerson gives us a masterful portrait of an unseen phenomenon in America as she explores through an immersive, deeply researched narrative and stories about real people. Beyond race, class, or other factors, a powerful caste system influences people's lives and behavior and the nation's fate, linking the caste systems of America, India, and Nazi Germany. Wilkerson explores 8 pillars that underlie caste systems across civilizations. I'm going to read from a chapter now. It's called A Scapegoat to Bear the Sins of the World. Every year on the Day of Atonement, the ancient Hebrews took 2 male goats and presented them before the Lord at the entrance to the tent of meeting. They would kill one as a sacrifice to the Lord to cleanse and make sacred the sanctuary. The other, the scapegoat, they would present to the Lord alive. The goat was cast out to suffer for the sins of others and was called the scapegoat. Thus, the scapegoat unwittingly helps unify the favored caste to be seen as free of blemish as long as there is a visible disfavored group to absorb their sins. Scapegoating, as it currently practiced, means finding the one or ones who can be identified with evil or wrongdoing, blamed for it, and cast out of the community in order to leave the remaining members with a feeling of guiltlessness atoned at once. A scapegoat caste has become necessary for the collective well-being of the caste, above all, and the smooth functioning of the caste system. The dominant groups can look to those cast out as the cause of any fate or misfortune, as representing the worst aspects of society. The scapegoater feels a relief in being lighter. The ones above the scapegoat can stand purified and united with each other, feeling blessed by their God. In the American South, the designated scapegoat was expelled, not to the wilderness, but to the margins of society, and attempted near banishment from the human race. Many men, women in the dominant caste blamed the people they enslaved for poor harvest or for meager returns, called the people who worked as many as 18 hours a day for the enrichment of others lazy, and took out their frustrations on the bodies of those they held captive. The caste system spared no one in the scapegoat caste. Thank you. She's one of my favorite authors, and she has delved into the real layers of our society, and we can see that happening today. And my name is Joyce Frink, and I was glad to read and participate. I've been doing this for 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear. Mr. Staten, are you there? JD.
I'm here. Hello, everyone.
Yes,
Thank you for this opportunity. This is my first time joining you, and I think it's wonderful. I've enjoyed it thus far. I'm James D. Staten Jr. I'm glad to be, my wife and I moved back here to Fernandina Beach, beautiful area, and we're just excited to be here to make this our home and to be involved. And thank you, Miss Janet and Neil and Joyce for getting us involved. The poet that I'm going to talk about tonight, that I'm going to read about tonight, was a household word for my family and me. We grew up in North Carolina in the farmlands, out in the farm, sharecroppers. And we don't talk about the farm people much anymore because a lot of attention is focused on urban and the city life. But during the segregation, growing up in segregation in the segregated South, in that sharecropper's little 4-room shotgun house, my mother would assemble her 9 children and she would introduce us to poetry. That was to develop our memory skills, our oratorical skills, our self-esteem. And the poet that I'm going to introduce tonight, there's several, and all of my siblings can recite to you a poem that our mother taught us at the time we were growing up. One moment here. So the poem that I'm going to, the poet tonight is Paul Laurence Dunbar, born June 27, 1872, February 9th, 1906, was an African-American poet, novelist, and short story writer of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. This evening, I will read Sympathy from the complete poems of Paul Laurence Dunbar. This poem inspired one of 7 autobiographies of Dr. Maya Angelou, which focused on her childhood and early adult experiences, namely, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sing. Sympathy by Paul Laurence Dunbar. I know what the caged bird feels, alas, when the sun is bright on the upland slopes, when the wind stirs soft through the springing grass, and the river flows like a stream of glass, when the first bird sings and the first bud opes, and the faint perfume from its chalice steals. I know what the caged bird feels. I know why the caged bird beats his wing till its blood is red on the cruel bars, for he must fly back to his perch and cling when he fain would be on the bough a swing. And a pain still throbs in the old scars, and they pulse again with a keener sting. I know why he beats his wing. I know why the caged bird sings, ah me, when his wing is bruised and his bosom sore, when he beats his bars and he would be free. It is not a carol of joy or glee, but a prayer that he sends from his heart's deep core, but a plea that upward to heaven he flings. I know why the caged bird sings.
Very much, Mr. Staton. We certainly appreciate you joining us. Great job, great job. So we are moving right along. Ms. Autry, is she there? Nanette Autry?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
It's your turn there. You're the production manager for this affair.
Okay. Technology is not really my thing.
We see you.
But you can hear me, right?
Yes, and can see you.
Okay.
You're good right there.
No.
Okay. I am going to be reading an excerpt from a book entitled Legacy, the Harris Twins story. It was written by Pedrika Gray. Pedrika is the daughter of Doris Harris Haynes and the niece of Dolores Harris Brown. My connection to the Harris twins happened over 20 years ago because they became charter members of the Pet Community Ensemble. I'm also pleased to announce that Mrs. Gray has another book coming out. It's actually already out. The legacy of Mr. Charles Laverne Albert Jr. that you mentioned earlier, who passed a couple of weeks ago, and it should be ready sometime this month. They are unsung. The Harris twins never made it to the proverbial top musically. Nonetheless, their memoir is not an account of two who tried and failed, but two who persevered. Early in life, the twins realized their talents were not exclusively theirs. When given the opportunity, They freely shared their musical knowledge, even when situations went awry and their efforts profited little. Refusing to remain downhearted, Dolores and Doris continued to perform on and off stage. They compassionately lifted the spirits of those in rehabilitation centers and nursing homes with their music. Several of their former students went on to do great things after one or both twins taught music theory and thereby helped them cultivate a dream to play piano or guitar. Like only they can do, the Harris twins sprinkled joyful Southern culture over their hometown on Amelia Island, its surrounding cities, and into other states. Their warm, friendly smiles, gospel and pop musical renditions, and Southern down-home traditions have engaged audiences and sparked magical musical enjoyment every time the duo performed. When they were younger, active, and gregarious, Dolores and Doris never imagined that in the year 2020, they'd be happy and healthy amid a statewide safer at home order due to the 2019 coronavirus pandemic. Their faith, strength during adversity, and their ability to overcome all of life's issues with dignity, these are the most enduring qualities of their legacy. And in the twins' own words, they said, Daddy and Mother had 5 children, and each of us inherited something of significance from them. Their legacy of musical creativity, however rarely they used it, tell on us. We continue to cultivate it to the best of our ability. Our message is simple. Tomorrow is not promised to any of us. Enjoy your life, but share it with friends and people who appreciate you for who you are and what you bring to the relationship. In whatever capacity you share your talent, rejection is inevitable, but don't let that stop you. Keep sharing. One by one, you will meet the people assigned to your journey whose lives you will touch with your legacy. And in their special way, they will say, thank you.
Thank you so very much for your contribution. And for those of you that don't know, Nanette grandfather, Reverend Morrison, when I was a little kid, he probably was the most popular minister on Amelia Island. And I think he founded a little church on Cumberland Island where the Kennedys were married. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nanette, but that's what
that is correct.
Yes, he founded a little church. The church was in disrepair, so they stood outside for the wedding for John Kennedy. And he was a famous man back when the utmost respect from everybody on the island when I was a little boy. I remember him well. So again, thank you. So next, let's see, who can we go to now? Dersha, is she there?
I am here. Can you see me?
Well, we're ready for you, dear.
Okay. Well, it's kind of funny that I go after Miss Nanette because my book is called Legacy as well. But mine is The Women Poets of the Harlem Renaissance by Nikki Grimes. And I thought I would share actually a couple of the poems with you because what Nikki Grimes does in this book is she shares an unsung poet of the Harlem Renaissance, their poem, and then she takes a line from their poem and makes her own poem. So the poet I am going to share with you is Effie Lee Newsom. And she lived from 1885 to 1979. And she was a children's librarian at Central State College. She also established a children's column at The Crisis under editor W.E.B. Du Bois. So I thought that was kind of cool. So her poem is called The Bronze Legacy to a Brown Boy. 'Tis a noble gift to be brown, all brown, like the strongest things that make up this earth, like the mountains grave and grand, even like the trunks of trees, even oaks to be like these. God builds his strength in bronze, to be brown like thrush and lark, like the subtle wren so dark. Nay, the king of beasts wears brown. Eagles are of this same hue. I thank God then I am brown. Brown has mighty things to do. So that was Effie Lee Newsom's poem. And then Nikki Grimes, hers is called Like an Eagle. No one chooses his pigment, but note, eagles share listening, who's baked on beaches for a bit of this glow. I know it's unseemly to boast. All the same, I wouldn't trade my melanin skin for any other hue. And my name is Dearsha Johnson, as everybody has been told, and thank you for the plug earlier, Mr. Bean. And it is a pleasure to be able to join you guys this evening.
Thank you so very much. Now, is Miss Minshew there?
She is.
Okay. So it's your turn, dear.
Thank you for this opportunity. This is also my first year and it will not be my last. So I am excited to be here. The book I want to read from tonight is called Paradise by Toni Morrison. Many people know Toni Morrison's books, but this is not one of her more well-known books, I believe. This book was published in 1998, and it was her first novel after she was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature. This book begins in Oklahoma, actually near Tulsa. And while it is set in the 1970s, it is speaks to the issues of the massacres and what happened in Oklahoma earlier in the century. The paragraph, the chapter I want to read from is called Divine, which is a person's name. So, let me tell you about love. That silly word you believe is about whether you like somebody or whether somebody likes you, or whether you can put up with someone in order to get something or someplace you want, or believe it has to do with how your body responds to another body like robins or bison. Or maybe you believe love is how forces of nature or luck is benign to you in a particular, not maiming or killing you, but if so, doing it for your own good. Love is none of that. There is nothing in nature like it, not in robins or bison, or in the banging of tails of your hunting dogs, or in blossoms or a suckling foal. Love is divine only and difficult always. If you think it is easy, you are a fool. If you think it is natural, you are blind. It is a learned application without reason or motive, except that it is God. You do not deserve love regardless of the suffering you have endured. You do not deserve love because someone did you wrong. You do not deserve love just because you want it. You can only earn it by practice and careful contemplation, the right to express it, and you have to learn how to accept it. Which is to say, you have to learn to earn God. You have to practice God. You have to think God carefully. And if you are a good and diligent student, you may secure the right to show love. Love is not a gift, it is a diploma conferring certain privileges, the privilege of expressing love, and the privilege of receiving it. How do you know if you've graduated? You don't. What you do know is that you are human and therefore educable and therefore capable of learning how to learn and therefore interesting to God, who is only interested in himself, which is to say he is interested only in love. Do you understand me? God is not interested in you. He is interested in love and the bliss it brings to those who understand and share that interest. Couples that enter the sacrament of marriage and are not prepared to go the distance or are not willing to get right with the real love of God cannot thrive. They may cleave together like robins or gulls or anything else that mates for life. But if they eschew this mighty course at the moment when all are judged for the disposition of their eternal lives, their cleaving won't mean a thing. God bless the pure and holy. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so very, very much. Now, Diane Johnson, is she on? I see her. I guess she's not here. So I'll put Marsha Phelps.
Marsha Phelps.
Can you hear
Marsha's,
me now?
there you go, Marsha.
Marsha's there now?
Yes, do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. We tried you
Wow.
before, but I think you were on Heckscher Drive coming in.
Okay, I'll try.
We're ready for you, dear.
The book that I'm going to read from is a monograph by Ann Chin.
Oh, boy.
And at this very time last year, we were very busy, most of us that are on the screen that I see, and all of us really were aware of the Middle Passage project that we were working closely with the Amelia Island Museum of History. And Vice Mayor Keith Kreger also had given us a proclamation, and we were so close to having this event for the Middle Passage Marker Project that we had printed the program. And I don't know if you can see this, but most of you have this program, a 20-page program. And then Anne had written a book. This is the book that she wrote, the monograph, and we placed it at our library and a few other nearby libraries. And the purpose of this book is to answer the question that many people had when we began talking about the Middle Passage Project. And all of us know the Middle Passage Project from Africa to the Americas to England, but a lot of people didn't understand it. And so we wanted to pay tribute to those of our ancestors on the Middle Passage. And so let me just read what Anne wrote explaining the Middle Passage Project. It has encountered many people, young and old, who do not know the complete history of this nation's development. Our goal is to broaden and to correct the narrative of nation building by including the role that captive American Africans and their descendants had in establishing the Western Hemisphere socially, culturally, economically, and politically. This work is dedicated to these ancestors. Middle Passage history is the shared experience of most people of African descent living in the Western Hemisphere. The oppression and exploitation of captive Africans and their descendants over 5 centuries ago was based and maintained on the social and political theories of race and racism, which is unique to any other form of enslavement. Their skills, knowledge, and labor in metalwork, architecture, health and child care, food preparation, agriculture, language, medicine, science, religion, and music impacted significantly the economic and cultural development of our modern world. Survivors of the Middle Passage endured terror, immeasurable hardship, and torture on the ship and upon arrival. They built a world, resisting when possible, often believing in a better life for the next generation and affirming their humanity. Their stories began at 52 locations in the United States of America. We must assign value to these places as indispensable sites of local, national, and international culture, history, and creation. And a shout out to Anne for doing this. There are 16 states and additional one, the District of Columbia, where markers are going to be placed where documentation has been done of slave ships that came to the Americas. And so this will remember and pay tribute to those of our ancestors. And initiated this project. And in the state of Florida, there are 5 sites and there are markers on all of them. And I'm proud that you helped us to get the marker on Amelia Island in Old Town at the foot of White Street.
Thank you so very much, Marsha. You always have such great information to contribute. We certainly appreciate you. You're a great resource of knowledge for our history. See, Ms. Johnson is on now. Is she there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, stranger.
Okay. I'm so happy to be here.
Glad to have you.
I thought I would just go with something very familiar and let the person who wrote this piece introduce it for you. It was written by James Weldon Johnson. And he's talking about how he came to write Lift Every Voice and Sing. We sing it all the time, but sometimes we don't even know the history behind it or how it happened. He says, a group of young men in Jacksonville, Florida, arranged to celebrate Abraham Lincoln's birthday in 1900. My brother, J. Roseman Johnson, and I decided to write a song to be sung at the exercises. So I wrote the words and he wrote the music. Our New York publisher, Edward B. Marks, made mimeographed copies for us. And the song was taught and sung by a chorus of 500 colored school children. So shortly afterwards, my brother and I moved away from Jacksonville to New York, and the song passed out of our minds. But the school children of Jacksonville kept singing it. They went off to other schools and sang it. They became teachers and taught it to other children. And within 20 years, it was being sung all over the South and in some other parts of the country. Today, the song, popularly known as the Negro National Hymn, is quite generally used. The lines of this song repay me in elation, almost of exquisite anguish, whenever I hear them sung by Negro children. And that was written by James Weldon Johnson. So the Johnson brothers, their song spread in popularity first throughout the South and then to the whole country. And the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People eventually adopted it as the official African-American national anthem. And so tonight I'm just gonna read through those words because we sing them so often, but it's sometimes good just to recite them and just remember and learn and feel the gravity of what he was saying here. Lift every voice and sing. till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed? We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land. And that is Lift Every Voice and Sing, the African American National Anthem, written by J. Rosamond Johnson and James Johnson. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you so very much. Is there anyone out that we missed? I'm looking at the names, but my eyesight is not what it used to be. I think I've called everyone the names that I see. Is there anyone else who would like to say something before?
Carolyn Dinkins, did Carolyn want to say anything, Denise? Or she's just listening?
She was just coming, she just came to support me.
I'm just
But
listening
she's
and
very-
enjoying the
She's
program.
very bright. She could say something.
Okay, I'd just like to say something. Lift Every Voice and Sing for, I don't know if everybody knows, but it was sung at the recent Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Who sang?
So did Ms. Dinkins, did she want to say something?
No, I just want to say thank you for letting me view your program, and I'm really enjoying it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Maybe one day I'll be there in present. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. We're glad to have you. Be glad to have you. Janet?
I would like to just thank everyone for coming. I know I mentioned it's COVID-19 and people have foggy memories of how to participate in COME, but I did want to tell you that Dr. Cole is giving a special, another Zoom meeting where she will be talking about African-American culture. And that's a free program, and you can join us by going to the library website and clicking on the link. Julie and David have that all set up for us. So we appreciate your attendance. I hope someone will invite me next year after 25 years or 20 years of doing this. I hope someone will invite me, and wherever I may be, that I can at least come and listen. So please, you'll always be in my heart. Neil and Joyce and I worked on this for a long time. Beach Lady. Oh, there are a bunch of people to thank in the community who have made this program just so meaningful to me.
Well, listen, we have to give you a parade or something because we just can't let you leave town. You have been so good and such a resource for all of us, and we cannot thank you enough. The world should be full of more people just like you. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have done everything that you could possibly do. And like to all of us who have participated, thank you. And like we say in my church, may the peace of the Lord be with all of us, and that we all be safe, and may this pandemic be over with in the next 6 to 8 months. I hope so. We all get vaccinated and can get back to normal. But I don't know. I keep my fingers crossed and I just keep praying. Again, thank you. Thank you so very much for doing this.
Oh, thank you for coming. Thank you,
Nothing.
Julie. Thank you, David.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Neil
Thank you.
Joyce, for the invitation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Be talking to you, Staten.
Good to see
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you, Janet.
Thank you.
Bye.
It's a pleasure,
night.
Janet.
Joyce.
Pleasure to meet you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bradley, honorable one. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Good to see everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Take care now.
Yes, Diane.
Good night.
So good to
Miss
see
Marshall.
everybody.
Hello, good to see you. Miss.
Bye-bye.
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 Good night.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.